Whispers of the Crimson Mirror. The rain was relentless as Claire drove down the narrow, winding road that led to Ashwood Manor, a sprawling, decrepit estate that loomed like a shadow against the stormy sky. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and lightning illuminated the twisted trees surrounding the old mansion. The house had belonged to her late grandmother, a woman she barely remembered, but who had been whispered about with fear and suspicion. Locals called her the Crimson Witch, a name Claire always dismissed as a cruel legend. When the will was read, Claire was surprised to inherit the house, along with a cryptic letter that read, "Beware the mirror in the east wing. Some reflections reveal more than truth." Shaking off the uneasy feeling, Claire pushed the door open and stepped into the dusty, cobwebbed foyer. Faded portraits lined the walls, ancestors with sunken eyes and sorrowful expressions. The air was thick with mildew, and the faint scent of roses lingered, an odd, unsettling sweetness. The first few nights passed quietly as Claire busied herself with cleaning and exploring the estate. The house groaned and creaked, but she convinced herself it was merely the age of the place. It was on the third night that the whispers began. Low, barely audible, the voices murmured her name. Soft, seductive, pleading. Claire dismissed them as tricks of the wind. But as she wandered deeper into the house, the whispers grew clearer, more insistent. They beckoned her toward the east wing, a part of the house she had subconsciously avoided. Driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, she followed the sound, heart pounding. The hallways seemed to stretch longer than before, shadows creeping along the walls. Claire's footsteps echoed, the whispers growing louder. She reached a door she hadn't noticed before, twisted wood carved with roses and thorns. Inside was a room draped in red velvet curtains, the walls lined with faded paintings. At its center stood an ornate mirror, tall, with a frame of intricate, thorny vines and a blood-red hue to the glass. The whispers ceased as she approached. Claire's reflection stared back, but something was wrong. Her eyes were dark, and her expression twisted into a wicked grin. Her reflection leaned forward and whispered, "Come closer." Claire's breath hitched. She took a step back, but a force gripped her legs. She glanced down to see thorny vines crawling up from the floor, wrapping around her ankles. Panic surged through her as she struggled, but the thorns dug deeper, drawing blood. The reflection smirked. "You've come home, child." The mirror's surface rippled like water, and a cold wind pulled Claire forward. The vines dragged her closer, despite her desperate attempts to free herself. She screamed as her reflection's hand reached out, fingers sharp and clawed. The cold embrace of the mirror swallowed her whole. Claire awoke gasping, lying on the cold, hard floor. The room was empty, the mirror gone. But something was wrong. Her skin felt icy, and the scent of roses filled her lungs. She staggered to her feet and looked around. The walls were draped in black velvet, and portraits of unfamiliar faces lined the room. A mirror hung on the opposite wall. She peered into it and gasped. It wasn't her reflection that stared back. It was a gaunt, pallid woman with sunken eyes and a twisted smile. Her own face. A whisper echoed from the glass. "You're mine now." Claire's scream reverberated through the manor, but outside, the storm drowned her out. Days passed. The house remained silent, except for the occasional creak of floorboards. The mirror in the east wing stood once more, the surface rippling faintly. The reflection was of a young woman, trapped, screaming. The whispers resumed, calling softly. Another traveler, seeking refuge from the storm, approached the manor. As he stepped inside, a faint voice echoed from the mirror. "Beware the mirror in the east wing. Some reflections reveal more than truth." But the house was patient. The whispers would lure him soon enough.